I want to make a 4-inch tall applique that has a cutout edge that will have a satin stitch name running alongside it. I'll begin by opening my toolbox, the lettering tab, and I'll right click to bring up my menu. I'm going to type a capital E, and I want this to be 4 inches tall. My font, I want Varsity. And notice the first thing that comes up is Varsity Applique. I want to create my own applique. So with this selected, I'll merely touch my down arrow, and there is the Varsity block caps that I actually want. 4 inches. Everything looks good. By hitting apply, my menu block stays open, and I think everything is like I want it. So now I'll touch the background, and there it is. This comes in as a satin stitch. It's merely a template. I'm not going to use this 4-inch letter to sew a satin stitch. So I'm going to first break it apart. I've gone to my edit toolbox. And sometimes in class when I tell people to go to edit, they will automatically come to the Windows edit. And of course, we don't have the same tools there. Where you need to be is in your toolboxes under the edit tab. So this is where I'll break this apart. Your color film has 2 views. It either shows you everything that's all the same color, or it shows you the components. Now notice I have to scroll to see these. I believe there's 4 pieces there. But I can change this view by floating over the line and reduce this in size, and then I can see the 4. I want to select all 4 of those pieces. I used Control A on my keyboard, and I will change these to a fill stitch. Because it was a letter, it automatically opened as a satin stitch. It's no longer a letter, so I can change it to a fill stitch. Now I'm about to use my outlines and offsets to create the letter shape that I'm going to use. So what I'll do is weld these 4 pieces together. I don't want my outline to cut across. With some letters, with some fonts, it would pick up these lines that I don't want. So with my shapes selected, I'll weld them together. That's new in version 9 of our embroidery software. I'm going to touch 0 on my keyboard, and that shows everything as large as it can go on the screen. I have not changed the size. This is still about 4 inches in height. So with this now a shape, it's no longer a font, I'm still in the edit toolbox, and I'll select outlines and offsets. Now this E is what I'm going to make into an applique, but I'm not going to use the tools that are built into the software. I'm going to place my applique lines where I want them. I find that if I make my lines as a single straight stitch, I have more control over adding or deleting nodes and getting the detail that I want. Going to select just a green. That's my habit for my placement line. The placement line will sew on the garment to show you where to lay your fabric. And then you'll tack down your fabric and trim away the excess fabric. So that's why I've selected green. I've selected the common outline tool, and I'll click OK. And there's my letter E. Now this, I'm just going to go ahead and use it as is. And I'm going to go ahead and come to my, I'm still in the toolboxes. I'll open the lettering. I right click to bring up my lettering menu box. And this time I'm going to write a name. This is for a gal whose name is Irma. And I've chosen a true type font that happens to be called Pinky Promise. My height does not need to be 4. Probably 1 1/4 inch is going to be plenty tall. And I want to select, what color is showing now? This would be fine for now. And I'll say, okay, touch the screen. And there's Irma. Let's give her a different color just so that we can keep straight where we are. Now, I'll use Irma to create a cookie cutter that is going to cut away this edge. So with Irma selected, I'll open my Edit toolbox again and select the outlines and offsets. Now these things are your choice. My choice is going to be, for this particular size of lettering, is 4 millimeters. Now, even though I have my software set in US measurements, and you can see that it's asking for an inch here, I can put in 4 millimeters, and the software will do the math for me. And let's give this a different color. Maybe the pink. And what we're doing at this point is creating a cookie cutter that is going to cut away part of that letter E. I don't want to include holes. And I think 1 single outline is enough for now. And I'll say okay. Now, this has some wild peaks. And it just happens with some letters, especially true type. You're going to get some odd things at times. When I touch the reshape, and I normally use the shortcut of H to open that up, I can see the nodes that are making this outline. Now I can select this, and let's look at Edit, Smooth Curves, and see if this improves any. Not very much. I could have changed the components, but these peaks are coming about from the true type. Keep in mind that true type was never designed for embroidery, but we are able to use it with our embroidery. It was designed to be printed. Okay, I'm going to reshape again, and I know that I'm going to select that peak and delete it. I might change this one, not that one, just this one, from a straight point to a curved point by touching the space bar on my keyboard. Seems like I saw another one I wanted to change. These, I think I'm going to lower by selecting them and using the down arrow on my keyboard. It's just easier to do these things when you have the cookie cutter in a straight single line. There's another peak I want to get rid of. And then we might give that a little more finesse with a little more roundedness. Okay, I'm going to leave that as is. I will spend too much time changing all of these square nodes to rounds, and I'm going to try to just leave that alone for now. Let me select that shape and convert it to a fill stitch, and it's fine in pink. Now I'll select the two of these, the satin name and the cookie cutter, and I want to rotate them 90 degrees. I'll place them along the side of my E. Let's see how deep I want that to be. Somewhere like so. Okay. Now I'll select, this is a good lesson. So my design has rolled off screen, and that can be a little frightening to new people. I can tell that I still have my stitching, but where is it? By touching 0 on your keyboard, your design will center to the screen again. So I'll select my cookie cutter. I'll come to my edit toolbox and remove overlaps. But I don't want it to remove the satin stitching that I've already done. So what I'll do is I'll lock Irma by touching the K on my keyboard. You can also do that by right-clicking, and there's your lock. And to unlock it, you would also right-click and come here, which I may need to do in a moment. But this is locked so that when I remove the overlaps, it doesn't take that lettering away. Select the cookie cutter, then go to remove overlaps, and notice that it cut away the E. And I think this is an extra one. I'm going to leave it alone for now and see if I do need it. The cookie cutter can go away, so I've selected it, and I'll hit delete. There's my line. Don't know why it came about, but I certainly don't want it. So I'll select and hit delete. It's still showing up. Okay, let's leave it alone for now. 0 on my keyboard centers everything for me. Now I've seen some people do their satin stitch all the way around the letter and come down the side with a continuous satin stitch. It's personal preference. I want to bring in another color. So I think actually I want to bring back, I'm going to hit my undo. I want to bring back my cookie cutter because I'm going to actually use that here in just a minute. Let's select it and change it to a outline. And then I will be, once I'm satisfied with it, I'll be changing it to a satin stitch. But it's fine for now. This E, I'll begin to make my applique with. I need a placement line for my fabric, and so I'll take this original E that has the cutout on the side, and I'll use just brighter green, but I want it to be an outline straight stitch. So that is my placement line. Then I will lay down a piece of fabric, and we need the tack down stitch. So I'm going to take a page from OESD Designs. Rather than using a zigzag, which can be difficult to cover and easy to cut with your scissors when you're trimming, let's do a couple of offset lines that will be our trimming line. So let's open outlines and offsets again. And this time I want 2 count. And I want this to be subtle. I want it, so I'm going to set these, let's say 0.7. Now this is important. My software is set up in inches. I need to have this millimeters. So less than a millimeter apart. It's your choice. This is what I found works for me. It's also my habit to always have my tack down stitches in a blue. So scroll and find. There's a blue. We'll use that one. And I don't have any holes. When it's talking about holes, that might be like the letter B. Inside the letter B would have cutout, or an O would have an inside cutout. But this E does not have that. So we're going to leave this with the sharp corners, uncheck include holes. I have 2 lines that I want to come up. I want them to be a single stitch. And I'll say, okay, my mistake. They went to the outside. I actually need them to go inside. Let me undo, select this again, edit, outlines and offset, and I need minus 0.7. This is important, mm. And then I still want to, there we go. So by having a double line, when you trim your fabric away, you're going to be able to trim really close. And the zigzag at times will not be straight. It may have long peaks in the corner, and the zigzag sometimes will do funny things. But by using the straight stitch, you're going to get really clean cuts. I have also created and I'll just show you kind of what this one looks like. I have created one that I use for myself, but this is another lesson that you would have to find in my videos. Let's see where that one is. Here. Yes, I have what I call an applique tack. And I'll say okay. Okay. And so what it does is it stitches along the edge of the fabric and then bites into the fabric. And it holds really well. When I do that, I don't need the second one. So let me change this back. We're going with the OESD method of having 2 straight lines that are parallel to each other, and that's going to be our trim line. This one that we made earlier will be our satin stitch. It's my preference not to have the satin stitch in the same color as the E. So this, I'll use, let's go with a turquoise for that. Select it, change it to turquoise, And what I need is a satin stitch outline. Okay. So that's my applique part of this. And then I don't think I need that one, so I'm going to make that go away. This I want to change to just for a different color. I'm going to use a yellow and change that outline. It was a cookie cutter and I changed it into a straight stitch. Now I'm going to change it into a satin. And this helps, in my mind, it helps the name stand out away from the E. And it's personal preference. I've got some funny business going on here. When I touch H, I'll do a little bit to clean that up. I'm using the magnifying glass and going in there tight. And it happened, it's got an extra note or two. I'll delete those and see how that straightened it up. I'm selecting a node and hitting delete on my keyboard to clean that up. And I'll go to, I'm touching 0 to show this full on my screen. So Irma might be done actually in a purple. Let's get a hold of it. It's being contrary. We'll leave it. And to watch this sew, this is your tack down. This is your placement. This is what will go on the garment. And I'm going to make a change to this in just a moment. I usually like a 4mm. It sews a little faster and it uses less stitches. Let's speed this up. So the first one is the placement. You lay down your piece of fabric and then it has, the design has 2 straight stitch rounds. Ah, that's why that was funny. Okay. On this one, I don't want any underlay. And I could go to Object Properties here. I could right click to get Object Properties, or I could merely right click on the underlay and take the underlay off. And I'll say okay. All right, let's try this player again. So there goes my placement. There goes my tack down. And then the name and the final accent on the name. There are many ways to do this. This is only one way. And I don't think I ever do it the same way for each design. I try to be consistent, but I tell you, I make these videos to help me remember how to do things. And I thank you for watching.